First pick, the greatest player to ever play for Jurgen Klopp at right wing. I'm going Mohamed Salah.
That's an easy first pick.
Easy. That's easy, right?
Easy.
Okay. I didn't want to overthink it with Lewandowski and his days at Dortmund. So my right wing position is filled at Mohamed Salah.
Okay. I am going to go with, as everybody knows, my favorite, Trent Alexander-Arnold at right back. I just think he can make any team tick. That's a no-brainer to me. Klopp is the man who made TAA who he is today. Trent Alexander-Arnold at right back.
You going two, or are we going back and forth?
I think we got to snake it.
All right, yeah, go.
And then I'm going to pair that with Robert Lewandowski at striker. Unbelievable at Dortmund. Again, another player like under Klopp exploded, became the Lewandowski that we've all loved to watch for the past decade.
Yeah.
So that's a no-brainer. I got Lewandowski up top. I got Trent Alexander-Arnold feeding him.
All right, that's a good duo. With Mohamed Salah up top, I think my strategy now is, I think the biggest disparity, maybe other than right back, is at the goalkeeper position.
I almost went goalkeeper.
Like you have Weidenfeller or Loris Karius or any of those other
or Simon Mignolet's couple of games.
So I'm going to take Alisson at goalkeeper.
Sure.
And then I'm going to take Virgil van Dijk at center back. Mats Hummels is obviously a really, really good center back choice and was great on those Dortmund teams. But I think Van Dijk, especially in that Champions League winning side and how good Liverpool has been respected as one of, if not the greatest center back in the world at times. So grabbing that core of defense between VVD and Alisson, I feel like is a good structure for the team.
For sure. And I think like with this draft, obviously like now I don't need to take a goalie for a while. I don't need to take a right winger for a while. But I do need to take a center back right now because if you take Mats Hummels, I'm stuck with some, not garbage, but Mats Hummels, probably his best years aside from maybe one or two at Bayern were under Klopp at Dortmund.
Definitely.
So I'm going to go Mats Hummels as one of my center backs. And then it's a little bit of a tough decision because there's two really good left wing options. So I may wait on left wing, go and look into the center of the park. But a lot of great midfielders play under Klopp and a lot with very similar identities because that's how great managers operate.
Right.
If we're going peak and like guys who really were incredible under Klopp, and this may be a hot take, I'm going Nuri Sahin in central midfield. He was incredible for Dortmund. He was a huge, huge prospect. I feel like injuries really kind of slowed his career down long term. But Nuri Sahin, throw him in the middle of the park. He can play as that lone six. He can play as one of the eights. That's my pick.
Sahin is a good pick. The only reason I didn't go there, and he was amazing, is for me, I was looking at differential in terms of that's why I went for Alisson. And I feel like the other center midfielders that are there, the differential between Sahin and the rest you could get isn't as wide of a gap. And I'm going to take Philippe Coutinho. I think
Where are you playing him?
I'm playing him at the 10.
Okay.
But depending on who else I get, my formation may...
You may end up putting him out of left wing.
Potentially.
Okay.
So I'm going to take Coutinho. I think in his prime, which were some of Klopp's first couple years at Liverpool, he was similar to Hazard, the way they were able to like drift with the ball. And then I just remember so many of those curling finishes that he had cutting in from the left side into the right side of the net. And he was a really special player. It's a shame that he never took that next step to become like the elite of the elite. But I think Coutinho, similar to what you're saying, in his prime for those couple seasons at Liverpool was really good. And then a tough one here because I think there were discussions when that front three in that Liverpool Champions League winning team and title contending teams, there was a discussion between who's better, Mane or Salah. So I'm going to go Sadio Mane and put him at left wing.
Sure.
Because longevity-wise, he was amazing, but also just prime where he was potentially the more clinical finisher, maybe for a season or two than Salah. He was absolutely unreal. So I'm going Sadio Mane.
Okay. Again, that leaves me with some easy decisions.
Yeah. Well,
not easy decisions.
There's a couple.
But you've filled attacking midfield, left wing and right wing.
Yes.
Marco Reus is not on the table for you anymore.
Correct.
So I'm going to wait and get Marco Reus a little bit later in the draft. I'm going to go where I think the biggest discrepancy is now. And I actually don't think it's that big. I think Marcel Schmelzer was incredible for a while, but I'm going to get Andy Robertson. Andy Robertson for 4 years was the best left back in the world.
Yes.
Like he was the biggest threat him and Alexander-Arnold were both having double-digit assists at once, and now I've got both of them in my team.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go Andy Robertson at left back, and then I'm going to fill another center midfield spot. And it's actually tough because you haven't really taken any of the central midfielders left. Part of me wants to take Gundogan with his time at Dortmund, but I actually think his best years at Dortmund, his best years in his career were not at Dortmund. They were at City. He was great at Dortmund. But
yeah, that would be a little bit of recency bias, I think, to include Gundogan because of how good he was with City.
So I'm going to go and grab Mario Götze and throw him in at the 10.
Okay.
I'm going to play him in midfield. Honestly, vibes and nostalgia player. His peaks were incredible. His valleys were, he was not someone on the pitch you necessarily wanted out there. He had a lot of injury issues, but he was the golden boy. And during his time under Klopp, he was the golden boy. So I'm going to go Götze and Robertson in this round.
I like that. Are you playing him at the 10?
I'm playing him at the 10.
Okay, because there's a few players that you could play out wide or through the middle.
Götze also played as like a false 9 at times in his career. You could have theoretically thrown him up there as striker.
Yeah. So that leaves me with, I think I'm going to fill my midfield now because my wingbacks are obviously settled. And I don't think, unless you had another center back option, I don't think the differential between like a Subotic or a Matip is like big enough to want to go there. So I am going to go with Fabinho and place him at the 6. And then this is really, really tough because I listed 4 center midfielder options, and now I have to choose one out of all 4 between Gundogan, Hendo, Thiago, and Wijnaldum. And this may be, I don't know if this is a hot take.
Can you really take Thiago? He hasn't done shit under Klopp.
I know, but he's just...
Like, on his day, obviously, he still has it. And he's had some fantastic moments for Liverpool.
I wanted to take Thiago, but for that, I think...
I didn't even put him on my list.
Prime of that player, but this is similar to the Gundogan.
Right.
Prime of that player, I think he's the best out of all those options.
Not even close.
But similar to you made a vibes pick, I'm going to make like a camaraderie pick and leadership pick, and I'm going to take Hendo.
I wanted to take Hendo as my first midfielder.
The importance of him in, obviously, Liverpool as their entire history pretty much with Klopp was unreal, and just engine-wise and at his peak, I think people, because he's like did the dirty work sometimes, kind of slept on how maybe technically gifted he was and like spraying of passes and different things. And I think he was really good at that. So I think he's perfect to play. And now my midfield is Fabinho, Hendo, and Coutinho, which I'm a big fan of.
Yeah, for sure. You've got an all Liverpool midfield.
I think I haven't actually picked a Dortmund player
yet. Is that true?
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. All right, my pick?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to finish my midfield with Wijnaldum. I think the midfield that I've selected with Sahin and Götze is lacking a little bit of athleticism. He's lacking that real engine, that guy who is actually going to be the true box-to-box midfielder. And that's what Wijnaldum did best. And honestly, he did it at such a good rate and worked so hard that his legs have gone since he's left Liverpool. And
if Hendo was there, would you have picked Gini or Hendo?
I don't know. I wanted to take Hendo really early on. I was not a Henderson fan, even when he was at his best. But like just looking back on the years that he played under Klopp, he truly was incredible.
Yeah.
And like he didn't really get his flowers because he's not really the kind of guy you want to root for. I feel like if you're not a Liverpool fan, he's just like a fucking scumbag in ways. But he's great. But I'm happy to take Wijnaldum. And then let's see, what do I have left? I need a center back, I need a goalie, and I need a left winger. Center back actually the only one left where you also need a player, but I actually don't know what I want to do here. I think to pair with Mats Hummels, I'll probably go out and get Joel Matip. I think the springiness of his legs, the ability to have a little bit more burst than either Subotic or Socrates. He's a more modern center back, and I think those defensive sides at Dortmund actually weren't all that good, whereas at Liverpool in their best years, they were the best defense in the league. So I'm going to get Joel Matip and pair him with Mats Hummels.
Yeah. I think a lot of, and this is credit to Klopp, but I think, and we've talked about this briefly, is the reason that those Liverpool teams, other than the talent they had on the field, the reason they were so good in defense is because they imposed themselves so well in the press, and like you had to work so hard to keep them out that you almost didn't have energy to even attack, which then in turn makes your defense that much better.
There's a tweet I think about literally every single day. Chitty, he's an Arsenal fan, tweeted, "I just had to open my window because the press was so suffocating." Like that was prime Liverpool. Like you actually couldn't breathe watching your team play them because even when you had little spells of possession, like you were freaking out that any missed pass and they were on the break. I mean, he ran those midfielders into the ground for 3 years, but it made Liverpool win a title, win a Champions League, and I mean the best team probably to not win a league the year that they lost to City by a point.
Yeah, obviously. So like you had to work hard to even have possession past the midfield line and then have enough energy to go try and score a goal. So I think that played
prime Van Dijk and Alisson, who is the best goalkeeper in Premier League history.
Yeah. Wow, that's an interesting.
I'm sure about that.
I haven't ever thought about it, so I'm not prepared to.
There's nobody who has paired distribution with shot stopping and he's also the best goalie in 1v1s in the world. Like he is he may be a top 3 goalie ever.
All right. We'll get into that later. I'm going to just fill my wing backs. For left back, I didn't have another option other than Schmelzer.
Yeah, it's either him or Simicas. I mean, I had Schmelzer written down, that's who I would have taken, but there really isn't a
And then right
option.
back, it was Piszczek or James Milner, maybe, if you wanted there. I'm going Piszczek. I think they were
I didn't think about Milner. That's an interesting option.
Yeah, I think they were a great duo. And when you talk about duos of that generation, I think they were up there. Never one of the best.
Was Piszczek, did he play a lot under Klopp, or he came in towards the end of Klopp's?
I think he was towards the end, but I think he was still playing at a high level. And they were never, obviously, at the Robertson Trent.
No.
But those are my wing backs, which leaves us, I think, with a pick each.
I have 2 and you have 1.
Okay.
I need to go out and get a goalkeeper, which will be Weidenfeller.
Yeah.
I think that's an easy selection as the second best goalie. I mean, what held that Dortmund team back for years was a lack of good goalkeeping. Weidenfeller was a true veteran. He worked hard, but was never one of the best in the world.
Average, yeah.
And then I get to finish my team with Marco Reus, which is beautiful. Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, never won anything under Klopp, but him and Lewandowski, I mean, I have vibes at the top of my team. Like,
so what's your front 3?
Reus. Oh, wait, I didn't take a right winger.
Yeah.
So we got a lot more picks left.
I think I only have 1. Oh, no, I have 2. Sorry.
Okay. So I am going to go Reus as my, and I have 1 more pick after that, but Reus and Lewandowski, and my right winger will end up being Dortmund too, but the vibes of Reus and Lewandowski at the front, like that was like prime, like getting into like other soccer than Arsenal for me, like that era of Dortmund. Like
I think they own the cutest soccer video ever produced when they're looking at each other when he went to Bayern.
Yeah. I mean, I literally am seeing it in my head right now.
I've seen that like so much.
It's a great gift.
And you play the correct soundtrack behind it. It really gets you in your feels. Yeah, so the final 2 picks for me to fill my team are a center back.
And a striker.
So I'm going to go Subotic.
Sure.
And then with a left wing, right wing of Salah and Mane, it makes no sense other than to grab Bobby. Did you have a different option to play that?
Well, I mean, like, I guess I would have considered potentially like a false 9 if I had to, but knowing the only one of us was getting Lua and one was getting. I mean, that was one of the best balanced front 3s in Premier League history.
So I looked up. I looked up the highest rated performers under Klopp ever in research of doing this. Coutinho actually finished first, and then Bobby was second in like average.
I mean, we were just talking about the press, but like having a striker like Firmino was what made that press tick more than anything. God, I mean, he was not only working hard, but he had an incredible ability to anticipate and help shape where the ball was going to be forced to, and then win the second duel. I mean, that's you don't see a lot of strikers with those.
And
abilities.
Then 2 wingers who almost double as number 9s, being able to clear out the
They're
space for them
forwards.
to make those diagonal runs for Mane and Salah just makes too much sense. So that's my team. And what do you have left?
I have a right wing. I'm going to get Blaszczykowski, FIFA legend.
Yeah, absolute legend.
He was great. I mean, he was great for what he did in that team. He didn't need to be a big goal scorer. No. They had Reus. They had Lewandowski. They had Kagawa at times. They had Götze. But, yeah, I mean, I got a full front 3 of Dortmund. You got a full front 3 of Liverpool. It's funny, like, I'm thinking to myself, my team's better. But, obviously, your Liverpool team, you ended up with mostly Liverpool. Won way more things. So, yeah, I don't know. Tell us who you think won.
Comment down below whose team is better.